Attention shoppers, the new Atari cartridge game is in.
The Atari video computer system is 20 cartridges with 1,300 game variations you play on your own TV set.
I'd like an Atari 2600 system.
Have you played Atari today?
Hey folks, Crazyclimber80 here again, and we're going to look at a special new series, and this concerns the second generation home game system, the Atari 2600, and this was initially called the Atari VCS, or Video Computer System. It was launched on September 11 of 1977, and it cost $199, which is a lot of frickin' money. It came with one joystick, 2 paddle controllers, and a game called Combat. And we'll look a little bit more into this system in just a second here. Well, this is the original model. It is known as the Heavy Sixer. There was a later version with 6 switches also that was a little lighter, a little bit different looking. We'll get into that in a second. But the 6 switches were power on and off, TV type, color black and white, left difficulty A and B, right difficulty A and B, game select, and game reset. And I'm guessing that they did away with the difficulty switches eventually because a lot of the games had multiple different difficulties or types of games that you could play. Here is the back of the Sixer unit. You see the controller ports on the left and right side of the power adapter plug in the middle, and the power adapter is what you see on the bottom. That male end plugged into the power adapter outlet there, and then the other end plugged into the wall. You can't see the prongs, but they're there. And here's a quick look at the later Light Sixer. There's some cosmetic differences. The front of the Light Sixer looks a little more angular perhaps than the Heavy Sixer. Well, this is the original joystick for the Atari 2600, and it had a rubber grip over a plastic handle for the joystick and a single fire button, and the plug had little holes in it that would go over the pins when you plugged it into the back of the system. And these are the paddle controllers. They consist of a dial that rotates to the left and right smoothly, and a shoulder button. And these were good for games like Pong or Breakout, where you had to move a paddle or something. And these are the keyboard controllers, 12-button controllers, and there were only 6 games that these could be played with. I'm sure they were all pretty crappy. And there's the game TV switch that goes in the back of the TV. It has male and female coaxial cable parts, and it's got those little parts at the bottom that you can screw into the back of the TV. So you should be able to get it to work on older model televisions. And then there's a switch that goes between the game and back to regular TV. And here is the Atari 2600 Junior. This came along in 1986, rather late in the console's life. It's sleeker and smaller and thinner and kind of looks cool. I remember I used to have that one too. Copies of the Atari 2600 were the Sears Telegames Video Arcade, which played all the same games as the Atari 2600 and sometimes had different names for them. And the Coleco Gemini, which had a very cool controller. It was both joystick and paddle in one. I used to have that. And here is your typical Atari 2600 cartridge. It had a couple holes in one end that would fit over these little nubs in the game slot on the Atari 2600 unit. Some technical aspects about the Atari 2600. There was a 1.19 megahertz MOS technology computer. There was a 128 bytes RAM, 4 kilobyte games, up to 64 kilobytes with bank switching. There was 128 colors and 2 channels of 1-bit monaural sound with 4-bit volume control. A couple other controllers was a driving controller, which was really the same as the paddle controller. And later on, there was a trackball controller, good for Missile Command or Centipede or other such games. The 2600 launch titles were Air Sea Battle, and they had terrific artwork on the game boxes. Basic Math, Blackjack, Combat, which was a pack-in game with the Atari 2600 and was based on the arcade tank games, Indy 500, Starship, Street Racer, Surround, and Video Olympics. Some final thoughts on the Atari 2600, or Atari Video Computer System as it was initially called. It didn't really sell particularly great right off the bat, but after like a year or so, it started getting some notice. I didn't get mine until probably like 1980 or maybe even 81, but for its time, it really was quite awesome. I hope you enjoyed my look at the Atari 2600, and with my next video I will start a series of my picks for the top 20 games of that system. Yep, I'll do another 20 from this time concerning the Atari 2600. Well, I hope to see you then, and I thank you for watching my tribute to the Atari 2600, or Atari Video Computer System. I will catch you later with the first in my 20 From series of this gaming system. See you then, folks. Bye-bye.
How you play Atari today?